So I've just been asked what I'm going to start this video with, and quite literally I said, I'm going to start the video by not feeding you with your lines, which is normally what we have to do. So James, 50th Degree Productions, we're doing a test with a Blazar Mantis anamorphic lens. This is the 50mm lens, and we're comparing it with the 24 to 70 GM lens. It's on a Sony FX3, it's on the Ronin tripod. We have got the LiDAR set up for the focusing, just so we didn't have to mess around with that. And we've set it to an aperture of t4, and the GM lens we're using on an f4 to give about a comparison on light side of things. The main thing I'm doing here, we decided to try anamorphic lenses, but couldn't really understand what they are, what they do. Everybody knows it's the squeeze and all these sorts of things. But when you're trying to envisage your shot, what are you comparing it to? It's a 50mm lens, so top to bottom it's 50mm. With this being a full frame sensor in DCI 4K, it works out as being a 37mm width. So what we've done is film at 50mm and 37mm with a spherical lens. We're then going to move the tripod forward with the 37mm to the position where we've got the same width as a 50mm. So we can see the compression factor change. And then we'll have 4 shots that are identical shots to compare. The only issue we've had whilst we've been setting this up and playing with this is that is the RS4 Pro gimbal with the LiDAR. It is the first time we've used it. We've been on RS2 Pro for 5 years now, I think. We've just changed to the RS4. Quite simply, the RS2 was worn out. No other real reason for it. And in doing so, I've just had a problem with the active tracking on the LiDAR. We wanted to keep the camera stationary and use the LiDAR to track Laura as she walks around the car. It kept, with active track, it kept following around, and with the other settings that we were messing with, it seemed to lose focus. So if the Blazar drops focus in the tests, it's actually down to us not knowing how to use our equipment, which is hilarious. So without further ado, we're going to start filming. We've marked the floor where the tripod is, so we can swap the lenses and go forwards and backwards to try and create these 4 different shots. We ended up having to refilm it. Our initial test at 37mm was wrong. The 1.33 squeeze isn't correct. It's a 1.41 we found. We found a video from Cam McKay. He was about 1.38 in his setup. Maybe some sensor differences on that. Meant that 37mm actually turned out to be 34mm. So we refilmed at 50 on a spherical, 34 on a spherical, and then the anamorphic lens. One of the things I will say about the anamorphic lens, it was a lot brighter at the same t-stop to f-stop. So we ended up actually running ND on it, and then we've had to apply tint to it afterwards. Let's have a look at what we shot. First up is our 50mm Mantis, shot at f2, and this is with the tint adjusted to get rid of the amberness from the lens. I think that's down to the flares. Next is the 34mm, and you can see the image is very much the same. Then we went to doing the 50mm, and you can see the depth of field is very much the same. And now we're going to go back to the Mantis as it comes out of the camera. So you can see it's a very warm colour to this lens.
And now it's time to do the bodywork.
Now, after doing those shots, I've pulled some stills from it so we can compare the stills. And what we've got is our 34mm. And if you look on the far right, there's a helicopter on the wall. Middle right, there is a number plate on the back wall. Centre of the picture at the back, there is a round pot. And then far left, there's this filing cabinet. They're kind of the things to focus on, and also Laura's face and the shape that it changes to. When you move to the anamorphic, you can see that the helicopter hanging on the wall has compressed quite a lot, and so has the filing cabinet. The pressure pot has come forward in the natural compression of the lens. Moving on to the 50mm, this is now zoomed in slightly to actually fill the full width. So Laura appears bigger. And then our last two shots are comparing the straight out of camera Mantis versus cooling it off, adding some blue to it to bring the general colour back to more where it's supposed to be. I can only assume that this is down to the amber flares. So in conclusion to my testing, very impressed with the lens. It's got a very nice colour to it and feel to it. It didn't give me as much punch in these shots as I was expecting. Certainly the difference between the 34mm zoomed in and cropped to fit a cinemascope image is not that different to warrant the cost of the lens. On the flip side to that, the lens itself has character to it. I am undecided whether I'd like the sort of the edging where the filing cabinet I'm okay with, but the helicopter that's hanging on the wall, it looks a bit weird, is the only thing, which is probably the pin-cushioning barrel distortion that people talk about on these lenses that I'm not experienced with. I did have one more thought. I was testing the 50mm lens. I was able to compare this with the 24-70. In the end, it turned out to be a 34mm, which gave me a reasonably good comparison if you wanted to fake an anamorphic shot. I didn't test the 25mm because the 25 would probably be coming down to like an 18. And an 18mm spherical would give you a lot more distortion. So I guess I'm going to have to run these tests all over again with that lens. And I'll have to buy a 16-35 or something, which we haven't got. That's going to be an expensive test. Hope you enjoyed the video. I do like that lens, and I'm going to play some more.